Hello, and welcome to another episode of D.U.M Talks. I'm your host, Dan Mitchem. Today, my guest is the lovely Jenn. How are you, Jenn?
I am wonderful now that I'm here. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. So today, we are going to be talking about your character, Malvolia, the Queen of Screams.
Yes.
So tell me about her. Where did she come from and all that jazz?
So basically, I've been kind of a part of the era of self-producing and, putting yourself out there, for film festivals and stuff like that to showcase your talent to others and casting directors and stuff to hopefully get future work.
Yeah.
And so I, for years, was kind of playing like a comedy sidekick. I did some dramas. I did do a horror short film that kind of broke me into the horror genre. I was always playing the innocent or the victim or the supportive friend. I was never playing an evil leading lady. When I kind of voiced that I wanted to audition for certain characters like that, people just kind of laughed at me. They said I couldn't do it. They said that that's not really like who I could be, or I don't really fit that character. And I'm the type of person where when you say I can't do something, I'm going to go do it. So
Oh, yeah.
that's exactly what I did. I created Malvolia, evil, mean, sinister, but with like a dark sense of humor. I decided that I was going to make a web series because originally the idea was to make a feature film off of a horror hostess character. I had originally written a treatment for another film franchise and it got rejected, but one of the producers was like, "Hey, you've got something here. You should move forward with it." So I was like, well, what's not being talked about? Like what's cool that people aren't really doing anymore in the horror genre that I could do? And at the time I was uneducated, thinking nobody was being a horror host or hostess. And now I stand corrected because they're all over the nation, people still doing it, even on public access. So I apologize. But at that time, I was like, I'm going to do something original and crazy and cool. And so I did my research and I researched Vampira because I knew I didn't want to go Elvira route. I didn't want to be slapstick funny.
Yeah.
And so I kind of took aspects of Morticia Addams, Vampira, and then just went from there. And she's been going for 4 seasons. So I feel like I've proved some people wrong.
Yeah. The show, you have it up on YouTube. Is it anywhere else, or is it just YouTube for right now?
It's just YouTube for right now. I do, because I am a horror hostess, I do go off and host other shows and stuff like that. But for my show, it's just specifically on YouTube. Yeah.
And for people that want to check it out, they would just type in Malvolia, Queen of Screams, and you will pop up.
Yes, I should, hopefully. But yes, no, I will.
Do you dress up as her and go as her to conventions or anything?
So I did do Son of Monsterpalooza. I was kind of sponsored by a writer from iHorror. He kind of walked around with me and we hung out and he introduced me to some people. And that was when I first kind of originated the character. What I realized was that it made me feel really self-conscious. It was such a hard thing. I used to kind of see conventions as like this easy, chill kind of thing. After doing that, I realized that it's really difficult. And I give a lot of those people props because it's a long day and it's hard work. I did go to the San Fernando Valley Comic Book Convention dressed as Malvolia because one of my good friends and collaborators, Dustin Ferguson, had like a table and he had some space. And so I was able to just kind of hang out with him for the day and kind of, meet some people there. And then, of course, the Boneyard sponsored me. I hosted their first episode of their web series. I hung out at, oh my God, what is it? The Scream horror.
Midsummer Scream?
Yes, Midsummer Scream. And so, yeah, I did that for 2 days. And that was quite an adventure. I've just done it a couple times. It's a hard gig. It really is.
So is your episodes are more of like a scripted thing rather than like a vlog where you go around as the character, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
When I was creating the character, I was kind of like, well, what would work for YouTube? Not a lot of people have patience and, sit there and watch long things as far as like feature films. So I decided to focus on short films. So I host short films and then we also do really short scenes, skits.
Speaking of Boneyard, that company with Larry, did you do Halloween Horror Nights at Universal?
I did not. No, I got introduced to Larry and Cheryl through a friend who did horror nights. They had posted 2 years ago, they were looking for a horror hostess. A friend of mine tagged me in their Facebook post, and I was like, I'm in, I can do this. Let's do it.
Yeah.
But that's how I connected with them.
I met you from Horrorvelt, a film that we shot with them in the company.
Yes.
I met Larry. Him and Cheryl worked the Halloween Horror Nights at Universal, and I worked with them for years. I started Horror Nights back in 2007. I haven't done it every year, but I've done it for a good 10 years. When I saw they were looking for cast members and stuff for this film project they were doing, I signed up right away. Larry's last year of Horror Nights was, I'm pretty sure it was 2017. So I hadn't physically worked with him or anything since then. So it was really cool getting back together with those guys.
They're so creative and just fun to put their stuff into reality.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was the first time I wore color contacts with Horrorville. Fangs and blood and just like the set that they created, the scenery. I was just, wow, this is pretty dope. This is really cool.
Yeah. I love going to conventions. I try to go to 2 horror conventions and then 2 regular ones because I like to dress up. I wouldn't necessarily say I'm a cosplayer, but I'm one of those people where anytime there's an opportunity to wear a costume, I'm in one.
Got you. Is Comic-Con usually one that you would venture out to?
I worked Comic-Con, but no, I haven't gone to that one because it's just a pain in the ass to get into. So I go to
It seriously is. Yeah.
yeah, so I go to the smaller equivalents. There's one in LA, there's one in Burbank, no, Long Beach. I decided one year for the Halloween conventions, I was going to dress up as Beetlejuice. I found a legit suit, and a friend of mine, she helped me with the wig, which, mind you, if you ever dress up as Beetlejuice, the wig is a pain in the ass.
Noted.
Well, it's because he's bald in the front, and in the back is the hair, and you just gotta style it. And anyway, but I decided to go as Beetlejuice to one of these Halloween conventions, and my friend, she even dressed up as Lydia, and we had such a fun time. But we also were just bombarded the entire day, people wanting pictures with us, and we're like, holy shit! Basically, whenever I go to the horror ones, I just usually dress up as Beetlejuice. I even made an Instagram, so when all these people want pictures with me, I'm like, oh, tag me on my Instagram page and stuff. I just didn't know if that's something you had ever done or anything like that.
That would definitely be something that I'm interested in. Going as Malvolia for me is kind of difficult because a lot of people never really approach me, nor do they ever ask who I am or what I'm about. They just kind of stare at me. They know that there's something about it, but they just don't know what. And I don't know if they're intimidated or they're just like, oh, it's just a girl that looks like a witch or something like that. I don't know what it is. But I would totally be down to like dressing as like another character and doing something like that.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, there's a big difference between Malvolia and Beetlejuice. I mean, everybody knows Beetlejuice because he's an already made up character. Malvolia is still pretty fresh.
Yeah, different strokes. Yes.
But yeah, I do like going to these conventions and stuff. And that's why I didn't know if you could try to interview some people down the line as Malvolia.
Yeah, I definitely could.
So where do you want Malvolia to go in the future? Not physically, unless you want to tell me like Rome and Italy and stuff like that. But I mean, you want to do a feature with her, correct?
Yes, yes. I originally at the beginning of the year in January started to write a feature around the character because I was really unsure if I wanted to continue on for like a season 4 because it was really hard for me to find filmmakers that were willing to kind of just donate their short films for me to showcase. My channel's not monetized. I don't make money off of anything. It would just be more exposure for filmmakers. It just started to get really complex, and so I was kind of like, man, maybe I'll next season 4 and just do a feature film. But then things got crazy, and with Malvolia, I easily just film by myself. You know, I'm in my living room, I film my stuff, I edit it really quickly, and so that's why I continued on with season 4. Season 5 still kind of up in the air, not sure if I'm going to do it again, just because I am having a hard time, putting stuff together. So I think I'm going to venture into the feature film, which is already half written. It would just be like kind of like the origins of Malvolia.
Yeah.
I incorporated like old school Hollywood into the findings of how she was formed and stuff. I'm like super into true crime, so I incorporated like the Black Dahlia and just really creepy stuff like old Hollywood into it. So I've been, trying to resurrect that Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I like about horror movies is when they do take you back to show you, why is this person the way they are or why do they look the way they do. It is cool when you do see origin stories just to see what made them who they are today.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's fun. It's fun to play around, because when I did create the character, I didn't specifically say she's a vampire, or I didn't specifically say she was a monster or she was a witch. I just wanted her to kind of be open and be free to be able to do whatever I wanted to do, like if I want to hear people's voices, read people's minds, I can do that. If I want to perform magic and make people vanish or turn into certain objects, I can do that. I can do whatever I want, and it's a lot of fun to play around with, for sure.
Yeah, you're an enigma. People don't fully understand what your capabilities are and whatnot.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
And you said you are working on a script. You're halfway done. Is that what you said?
Okay, let's say one third done. I wouldn't say half done. One third done. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Writing features for me is so hard. Writing short films, super easy. I can plunk one out in like an afternoon. But when it comes to like a feature film, it's like, I don't know, that is the challenge. So I'm ready to get back on that saddle and hunker down and move forward with it, definitely.
Yeah. Are there any other characters that you've thought about creating just in general?
Oh, not as far as Malvolia, just in general?
Well, both. I mean, are there characters that you're thinking about creating to introduce to Malvolia, or are there other characters just in general that you wanna or that you're thinking about trying to make a thing out of?
I have my kind of like minions, my little crew that have been with me since season 1. So a lot of those characters have made their way through all the seasons, made certain appearances and stuff.
Yeah.
With the feature, I was pretty much just going to focus on the origins of, Malvolia and focus on how she became who she is and just her finding herself in certain situations and how she overcomes it, that kind of stuff. But as far as writing other scripts, I'm venturing down like a revenge feature film that I want to do. I've been, it's really funny because I think most of us have been in therapy this year. So my therapist, my therapist is, she works with a lot of people in the industry, and she used to be a part of the industry. So she is such a supporter when I come to her and I'm like, I have this really great idea for this script. So the other night we were talking about this one feature film that I pretty much have everything outlined. And she's like, yes, do it. Get it out on paper. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just get it out, write it out, and move forward with it. This is great. So therapy's been really great towards my creativity.
Yeah. Have you been an actor for a long time, or have you what have you done in the past? Not specifically, unless you wanna tell me, but I mean, have you done plays or movies or stuff like that in the past?
Yeah, yeah. When I was 10 years old, I went to a stage play of The Sound of Music that some family friends were in, and I was just infatuated with the whole craft. I was amazed that these kids that were younger than me were able to hit their marks and sing their songs and remember their dance moves. And I was like, I want to do that. I think that's so cool to do storytelling, through your body, through live storytelling is so cool. I grew up dancing. I was dancing when I was really really young, ballet and jazz and all that kind of stuff, but the musical theater world was so amazing to me. So ever since that day, I auditioned for anything. I tried to be a part of everything that I could. My freshman year of high school, I was doing 4 plays at once and still going to high school, and I was just like whatever I could do and whatever I could be a part of, I wanted to do. And then when it came to going to college, I didn't want to go. I immediately wanted to go to New York and start auditioning and I wanted to be on Broadway. But
Yeah.
my parents, who are educators, were like, over our dead body, you have to go to college. So I was like, well, if I'm going to go to college, I want to major in theater. And they were like, okay, fine, whatever, just as long as you get an education. So I went to Niagara University and studied theater there. And then after I graduated, I did some Shakespeare in the Park and some stage plays in Buffalo, New York. And then it just kind of turned to, well, do I want to do this professionally, or do I always want to, like, this is going to sound funny. Do I want to do this professionally and be a full-time actor, or do I always want to have a survival job and then, do plays on the side. And I was like, I want to be a professional actor. It's going to be easy peasy for me. I'm just going to move to LA and everything's going to be amazing and perfect and easy. And everybody's going to want to cast me and life's going to be amazing. And I'm going to have so much money. Well, here we are, 15 years later, and I still have to have a survival job and I'm still trying to have gigs on the side.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't have it any other way. That's definitely definitely what I wanted to do. Yeah.
Well, cool. Is there anything else you want to tell the world about Malvolia?
Well, 1031 that I host is currently on Kings of Horror, and you can watch that for free on YouTube. If you also want to catch me as playing like a crazy character, Irrational Fear, where I play the role of Kelly, is also on Kings of Horror on YouTube. And then if you want to see me play the zany realtor in Paranormal Attraction, that is currently on Tubi right now. So you can see all of those films for free. Or if you have subscriptions.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. Well, thanks for being on the show, Jen. And be sure to check out Malvolia, Queen of Screams, on the YouTubes.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
And that's Dumb Talks. Thanks again for listening. Be sure to subscribe at the bottom for future episodes. Who knows? Maybe I'll be talking with you next.